So we're up to Oisches over here. The Rebbe was discussing that even though that we're saying that the Tal of Torah will be Tal Tchiyah is mainly the Osid Lavai, um, but we have it now. But not only the Rebbe says in a way which is hidden, but we have it openly. It comes down in Chochmo, Bina, Chochmaschmo, Benaschem. That's the idea of Torah. We have the idea of Tal Torah. But the question really is how so? Uh, how is it really by us that we have the Tal Torah in a way of Hasoga Havana Hasoga? So the Rebbe brings down Va'inyan hey Ches the Hine Isa b'Mishnah. It says in the Mishnah, we find in the Mishnah that Ein Dershim b'Maisa Merkava b'Yochid, that we're not allowed to expound darshan in the actions of the Merkava, which means the Pnimius HaTorah, the Tal Torah. We cannot learn it b'yochid individually, unless imkein hoyachochom umevin medaitoi. Unless he was the individual was a chochim and understands by himself, he has chochma ubina, so he could learn. But otherwise, you can learn. But the fact is that we're saying that a person who is a chochem umevim bedaita can learn, is allowed to, is dershim ma'asim merkava. So the Rebbe says that yochid who learns the ma'asim merkava, who learns the Tal Torah, is essentially moitzi all yidden that have to learn Tal Torah, that got the Tal Torah. The Yesh Loimar, we can say, the Al Yidei Halimu, the Yochid Zeh, B'Maisa Merkava. Do through the study of this individual in the Maisa Merkava, the Hainu Pnimius HaTorah, which is the Pnimius HaTorah. That's the Maisa Merkava. Harehu Moitzi Al Yidei Zeh Es Kol Tamidov. So he fulfills the obligation through his study, all of his students, the whole Klal Yisrael, and all of Jews in general, in understanding and grasping the Rebbe said that in Tal Torah, you have to understand, you have to grasp. So how does this realistically apply? It's through this one individual who's a chacham and maybe medaita, and he's dershim b'maisim merkava. He fulfills everybody the obligation. But that would be sort of a secondary. But the Rebbe says no. We have to have the Gilui now, and that is through learning Chassidus. That is through learning Primis HaTorah. Achapi Mashen is boyer, but based on what was explained, Shagilui the Matan Torah Hoyo L'chol Yisrael, that the revelation of Matan Torah was for all Yidden. So basically, it wasn't for any individual. It was to everybody. So we have to say, Shegam inyan ze havo v'hasoga. Be b'bchinas Tal Torah, the understanding and the grasp level Tal Torah. Tzorich li is b'chol Yisrael. This needs to be by all Yidden. We have to find that all Yidden, not just one person who's the Yochid, who's moitze everybody. V'yesh loymar, so we can say the zeu achidus, the Torah Chasidus. This is the novelty of the teaching of Chasidus. Sheyiyah limud pnimis haTorah, so that there should be the study of the inner part of Torah, which is bechinas talod de bedulcha, the dew of crystal, which is talod de noftif me atiko kadisha. That's the dew, the level of Torah, the dew that drips from Atiko Kadisha. In a way of understanding and grasping. So that's the Ube'oifen as it says in the Zohar, the Yisparnesun Minei. They will be sustained by the teaching of Chassidus. So meaning that its Chassidus will come down in a way of Havona v'Hasoga. That's the Chiddush that came about now in the revelation of the teaching of Chassidus. Ki hagam shebedoides hakoidmim hoisa hagabola. Even though in the earlier generations there was a limitation. That we don't expound the Maisa Merkava individual chulu. So people were not in the previous situation preview. They didn't have the opportunity to learn Tal Torah, the Pnimis HaTorah. Ein Dershin only B'yochid Hine Bizman Hazeh. But in our time, which is Erev Shabbos, the Erev Shabbos, it's Friday, meaning in the order of the world, the 6,000 years that the world stands. So we are already on Erev Shabbos. We're right before the 7,000th year, which is the day of Shabbos in the 1,000 years schedule. So we're Erev Shabbos. So now, Harei Psak Din B'Shulchan Aruch. The ruling in the Shulchan Aruch is Shebe'erev Shabbos Tzarich Liyes Ha't'imo Mikol Tavshil v'Tavshil L'Shabbos. On Shabbos Eve, on Friday, one needs to taste of every tavshil, every food of Shabbos. So we're in Erev Shabbos. Shabbos is going to be the revelation of Tal Torah, the Pnimis HaTorah. So we have to taste it on Erev Shabbos. So we have to Toyameho Chaim Zochu. Those who test, as the pasuk says, those who taste it merit life. Bimkein, and in that case, Tzorich Liyes Ato Hati'imo Mehagilui De Bechinas Tal Torah She's Galil Osilove. That's why there needs to be now. Now we need to taste the taste of Torah, which is going to, of Tal Torah. The Tal Torah is going to be revealed in the future, but we need to taste it now. Hainu ha'havona v'hasoga b'pnimis ha'Torah. That is the understanding and grasping the inner level of Torah. Rebbe says, Ubazeh Yuvon, the Rebbe asked before, now we can understand, Mashakosu Geshem Nedoves Tonif Elikim. It is the benevolent rain. It calls it rain versus tal, even though it means tal. Geshem Nedoves Tonif, it is the rain, which is Tonif Elikim. So why do we call it Geshem versus tal? Shatal Torah, the Matan Torah, that when here we're talking about the dew of Torah that took place by Matan Torah. Nikra b'shem Geshem, the dove is dafke. We call it the benevolent rain. We call it with the name of Geshem. Why Geshem? Even though it's dew. Ki hatachlis the b'chinas tal zehu, because the goal of this tal is shatiya boigam hamayla de Geshem, that it actually should also contain, should also have the advantage of rain. So that's why we call it also Geshem, should have the rain. The advantage of rain is Nigla de Torah. And Nigla de Torah, we said, comes down in a way of Havon of Hasoga. We want this level of Tal Torah to come down also in a way of Geshem, to the extent that it's drawn down in understanding and grasping as Geshem, Nigla the Torah, as Nigla the Torah. So this is the Chiddush that we have today before Mashiach and Erev Shabbos, in which the halacha is that we have to taste of the food of Shabbos. We're tasting the food of Mashiach, which is Pnimis HaTorah, and it comes down ba'avona v'hasoga. Test. V'zeu ato reisel adas kavayu lehikim einoid movadi. And this is, you have shown yourself that Hashem Elikim and Einod Levade. She'inyan zeh niten b'shas matan Torah. That idea has been given at the time of Torah. Al derech zeh nimshach b'chol shona v'shona. Bisman matan Torah same. Similar to that level of revelation that Hashem revealed himself by matan Torah, as we said, even though mainly it's lost in love, but means that this has already been by matan Torah. The Atores Ladas. Similarly, it's every year in time matan Torah. Kibishma shas matan Torah hoye gilu b'chinas tal Torah. The time of the Torah given there was the revelation of tal Torah. B'chinas talo de bedulcha de notif ma'ak. The level of talo of bedulcha which drips from Atika Kadisha. Shehu chad im atzmus ein sof baruch hu. Atika Kadisha is one with the essence of the Ein Sof. So you get the essence of the Ein Sof in the dew of Torah. Ato, du atzmus Ein Sof Baruch Hu. You, the essence of Ein Sof Baruch Hu. That's the Ato, that's the Atika Kaddish, that's the notif. That comes about the Ato Reis Odas. V'yesh loymar, we can say, the Zeu Gam Masha Yodua. This is also that it's known. Shechag HaShavuos koshur in Moshe Rabbeinu. So we find that Shavuos is tied to Moshe Rabbeinu. Shekibel oz haTorah miSinai. So the connection to Moshe, David, and the Baal Shem Tov are all connected to Matan Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu is because he received the Torah, oz haTorah miSinai. That's the connection to Moshe. The David HaMelech v'haBaal Shem Tov, and also to King David and the Baal Shem Tov, they all have their yortzeit on Shavuos. The Ba'atzeres hu yoim ha'hilula de David HaMelech. On Shavuos is the yom, the yortzeit hilula of David HaMelech. The inyan zeh, the idea of the yortzeit of David HaMelech on Shavuos, hu b'hadgosha yiseda b'shona zu. It is a more emphasis in that year, on this year, the year that the Rebbe said the Maimer, it came out on Shabbos. The second day was Shabbos in Tavshim and Vov. So over there it was on Shabbos. So you see more, because David HaMelech, we said that he died, he passed away on Shabbos. So we have the extra inyan of Shabbos. The Shona Zu Chal Yom Tov Sheni Shel Atzeres v'Shabbos. This year, second day of Yom Tov is on Shabbos, and it's also V'Gam Yom Hilul the Baal Shem Tov Canal. It's also the day Hilul the Baal Shem Tov. So it turns out Moshe Rabbeinu got us the Torah Shavuos, the Baal Shem Tov, and David HaMelech's yortzeit. The Rebbe says that even Moshe Rabbeinu's yortzeit is also on Shavuos. How so? The Rebbe says because Porchon Nishmosim, everybody passed away and they were revived. B'dal, the Eibshter gave them back B'tal Tchiyah, that Osi Lachsam Mesim. So they also passed away. So Rebbe Shlemer Eid can say more. The Chag HaShavuos Ugam Yom HaHilul the Moshe Rabbeinu. It's also the Yom HaHilul Moshe Rabbeinu. Shari B'Shas Matan Torah Porchon Nishmosim Shel Kol Yisrael V'Chzira B'Tal, because all Yidden lost their souls, and the Eibishter revived them, brought them back alive. U'ba'echrech loymar she'inyan zeh hoyo b'chol Yisrael. So we have to say this wasn't for some and not for Moshe Rabbeinu, that this was ba'ol Yidden limiktanim vat ketoilom. This was for the small and the older, everybody, ktanim vat ketoilom, they all were revived. Because that's the way. How did we all get the level of tal? Through the fact that the Eibishter gave them the tal by bringing them back. So this idea of tal tchiyah that the Eibishter resurrected, this was l'cholech. Everybody got this tal. Koil Moshe Rabbeinu, we would include Moshe Rabbeinu. The Rebbe in the Haaretz deals with this because, but v'nimtzo. So it turns out that on this day was also the neshama left Parcha Nishmosim and Moshe Rabbeinu. That Moshe Rabbeinu also left. Inyan Hilula, which is the idea of a yard site, is when the person leaves his body. Okay, he was resurrected also at that same time, the Tal Torah, but, and it's not only David HaMelech's yard site, it's the yard site of all Yidden. All Yidden were there, and everybody got the Tal Torah. But nevertheless, we see now that there is a connection to Shavuos, to Moshe Rabbeinu, because he got the Torah, also the Hilula, and David HaMelech, and the Baal Shem Tov's who Hilula is on Shavuos, especially that year with regards to David HaMelech, because his yahrzeit was on Shabbos. So these three, Moshe Rabbeinu, David HaMelech, Baal Shem Tov, Moshe Rabbeinu, Kshurim in Inyan HaMshachas B'chinas Tal Torah, Pnimis HaTorah. They are tied to this idea of bringing down the level of Tal Torah, Pnimis HaTorah, B'Yisrael, B'Efen Davon of Hasoga, to the Yidden in a way that they can understand and grasp. How so? The Moshe Ksiv Torah Tziva Lonu Moshe Moirosha Kilas Yaakov. Moshe instructed us the Torah as an inheritance for the community of Yaakov. Shenosan Umosar Eskol HaTorah Kula. He gave and he passed along the entire Torah. Koilel B'chinas Tal Torah, which also includes the level of Tal Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu gave us all of Torah. L'chol Yisrael, to all Yidden, ba'ofen the Yerusha, in a way of Yerusha. Moshe Meirosha, he was a Yerusha. The Amitis Inyan HaYerusha, true level of Yerusha, he Kshenimtzaz B'balusei Shel HaYerush L'gamri, is when it finds itself in the ownership of the inheritor totally. Meaning you totally own it. What does it mean you totally own it? That you understand it, that you grasp it. That there is understanding and grasping. So when can we say, Moshe Meirasha, he gave us when we understand. So each and every one was given the Torah by Moshe Rabbeinu to understand the Pnimiyus HaTorah. This is idea of Moshiach, of David HaMelech, of Moshe Rabbeinu, this is also David. Because what's the connection to David, special with the Gilui of Tal Torah, Pnimis HaTorah? Because we say David Malka Mashiach. David is the King Mashiach. She'inyonei shel Mashiach hu Gilui Pnimis HaTorah Delosi. That is what Mashiach's idea is. He's revealing the Pnimis HaTorah Delosi, so that's connected to David. David is the Mashiach. Ve'inyan zeh hu b'adgosha b'zman zeh. The idea of David also being the Mashiach is more emphasized in this time. Samuch l'Motzoi Shabbos, because this was close to Motzei Shabbos, as the Rebbe mentioned before. In that year, the second day of Yom Tov was on Shabbos, so they were holding by close to Motzei Shabbos, which is Man Su'ud Sod David Malka Mashiach. The Malka is the meal of Malka Mashiach. That's David Malka Mashiach. So that was the idea of David, and Mashiach was the idea to reveal Pnimis HaTorah, Tal Torah. Similarly, also this is the aspect of the Baal Shem Tov. Shegila Pnimis HaTorah ba'ofen de'fotzes hamayonos chutza. He revealed the inner part of Torah in a way of spreading the well springs to the outside. The Bizman Matan Torah hoya inyan zeh b'chinas tal Torah behelem l'fierach. At the time of Matan Torah, this idea, the Pnimis HaTorah, the Tal Torah was obscure, relatively speaking. Then it was revealed more further through David. And then it was revealed even further through the Baal Shem Tov. V'talmidov, v'talmidi talmidov, and his students of his students, ad up to l'kveit kiddushas Meirichom Admur, my father-in-law, the Rebbe, and the Sida Reino, the leader of our generation. Shechidushim hoya, what was their novelty? Hafotzes hamayonis, to disseminate the well springs, the pnimis haTorah tal Torah chutza, the tal Torah to the outside. So this was the Baal Shem Tov's task, and this was the task of the David HaMelech, and the task of Moshe Rabbeinu. They're all associated and have a special connection to bringing down the Pnimius HaTorah until the level of Yisparnas Umenei, a level in Avona V'Hasoga, understanding and disseminating Chassidus to all around. Yud. B'hinei HaTorah nitzchis. Torah is eternal. V'hainu, that means shehi hoira nitzchis l'chol Yisrael. This is a eternal lesson, instruction for all Yidden. This is Shavuos associated with the Hafotzes Hamayones, so this is eternal all the time. And we have the ability to do so. We all have the ability to spread the well springs. God does not ask us only of what we can produce, only according to our strengths. For every man and woman. Now this includes the Rebbe now, the women as well. The women too are part of this understanding and the dissemination of Chassidus. Because also to women, the Eibishter gave the Torah and they received the Torah. Not only do women have a part in Torah, first the Pasuk says, when the Torah was given, the Eibishter says, Koisoymar lebeis Yaakov, Elu hanoshim, u'ba'ofen da'amira rako. The Eibishter says, first say to the Beis Yaakov, say to the women. And the Eibishter said it in a way of softly. Soymar. Sagid is Bnei Yisrael, but Beis Yaakov is Soymar. So Niten HaKoyach. So the power has been given. Sheyiyeh limud b'chinas tal shebetoira. That there should be the study of the level of du of Torah. U'ba'ofen da'havona v'hasoga. And not just to study, but in a way that you can really understand it and grasp it. Just like in every halacha of the Torah, the main thing is not the study, is the action that you do, literally, simply. Similar is also in this idea of the revelation of the Tal of Torah in the future. So, mainly it should be literally. Right now we're learning Tal Torah, it's Pnimis HaTorah, it's a Gilui, it's Me'ain, but we want the actual literal Tal Torah. Shemidvar Havaya Zu Halocha, from the Dvar Havaya, which is the Halocha, which is the literal, Novoy Lidvar Havaya Zeh HaKetz, also as the say that this is actually, Dvar Havaya is the Ketz. The Gemara Shabbos, the Rebbe quotes over here, Begeula HaMitis VaHashlema Adei Mashiach Tzidkenu, the true and complete redemption through Mashiach, Meru Yameinu, Bagola Didan Mamish, very soon, very in Mamish. So this was the beginning. The Rebbe started the Maimer with Ato Harei Solodas Kavai Lekimenim Levadei. So the Rebbe explained that this vision that Moshe Rabbeinu is talking about in Mishnah Torah, Ato Harei Solodas, is really Pnimius HaTorah. That's the level the Eibishter showed us. It was by Matan Torah, as the Rebbe explained. Even though we have the two levels of Torah, we have Tal Torah and we have Geshem of Torah. But the Tal Torah really is La'osid Lavai. That's what Chiyas HaMeisim. Eibishter will resurrect them with the Tal Torah. It's all connected La'osid Lavai to the time of Chiyas HaMeisim. But still, everything started at Matan Torah. So already by Matan Torah, you already have Atorei Solodas. We've already shown, as the Rebbe explained, and through the Rebbe also explained, and the connection to Moshe and David and the Baal Shem Tov, and they all connected. And the bottom line is we need the Torah, that the Tal Torah that was given to by Matan Torah, even if it remains obscure, it remains a treasure that is hidden, that still impacts the Yidden. So that would be also an impact. But the Rebbe says, but we need it literally. The Rebbe goes on, need it literally, and also to women, everybody connected to the three who are connected to Shavuos, to Moshe, David, and the Baal Shem Tov, who brought it down also into understanding Habona v'Hasoga, because that's the whole idea, to bring down Torah in understanding, and that is the benefit we have now from the Pnimius HaTorah, from learning Pnimius HaTorah by Habona v'Hasoga. But of course, ultimately, what we're looking for is the literal. We're looking for the study of Pnimius HaTorah with Mashiach, the Tal Torah, that would be in the end, in the Gula Mitis Vashlemo, Bimheiro B'Yomeinu B'Agola Didan Mamash. Okay, we're done with this mimer. We'll start the next mimer, Be'ezras Hashem. This is all the these are all the Shavuos Maimarim. We'll continue with another mimer later on. See you later.